Hello and welcome to Faster and Louder. The other day I actually had an idea while I was making a different video, and the idea was making one about buying used performance parts. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So you've probably seen a lot of guys buying brand new stuff online. Everybody talks about their own build and what they've done to their cars. A lot of guys, it's really not uncommon to spend thousands of dollars on things. Like you get your intake manifold, cam, or supercharger, whatever, and it just costs a ton of money. A lot of money that goes into parts and labor. And I wanted to go over a couple things, couple ways that you can actually save some money and do things a lot cheaper. It can definitely be beneficial to buy brand new parts, having that peace of mind, but it's also very expensive. So sometimes you can go with buying used stuff to save a little bit of money in the long run. Performance parts can really add up super quickly. You can get your camshaft, supercharger, intake manifold, headers, whatever. It's all gonna cost you thousands of dollars. And then you have to pay somebody else to put it on for you. It's gonna cost thousands more dollars. So first thing is try to figure out what you can do by yourself, if anything. Some jobs are super easy, like a cold air intake, you can do that yourself. It takes like 20 minutes, 30 minutes on the high side. There's no reason to pay somebody to do that for you. And that's also a really good example of something you can buy used for way cheaper. So I know some people might actually ask, why would you buy used performance parts? Well, it's pretty simple for me. I mean, the logic just makes sense. It's way cheaper. I mean, some of the things that you can get used are not going to be degraded to the point where it's useless or you're really risking it. And that's a huge point that I'm going to make in a second. Just make a list of everything that you want to do on your car and just list out everything that you want to look for used. Common modifications that people do on pretty much every type of car is heads, cam, and intake. Just looking at that, you can kind of determine which ones you can buy new and which ones will be used, or you can buy used. Heads, typically people don't even really buy brand new aftermarket heads. They kind of just port and polish their existing heads. That's way cheaper to do. You don't have to buy like a whole new separate thing. But if you do want to buy something that's aftermarket, you can also look for that used. Just keep an eye on how many miles it has on it, you know, just to get like a rough idea on how used it's actually been. Look to make sure everything's complete, like all the parts are actually there. Then you're kind of moving into the camshaft. The camshaft is something that you probably want to buy brand new. It's a wear item. It's in your engine, the lifters ride on the lobes and everything, and it's really hard to tell just by looking at it if it's actually good or not. So that's one of the things you probably want to have good peace of mind and just buy brand new. The only time I would buy a camshaft used would be if somebody bought it, it's still in the box, they never actually installed it, and they're just selling it for cheaper. And intake manifolds are another thing that you can actually buy used a lot more often than not. For my car specifically, it's a 5.7 Hemi, but a very popular mod is to get a 6.4 Hemi intake manifold and put it on here with a couple other small parts to make it actually work correctly. But it's a very popular mod, seeing as how you can usually do that for like $600 to $800, and a brand new aftermarket intake is generally $1,000 plus. There's also a couple different things that you could buy used, but you're taking a chance on it a little bit. One good example of that is my torque converter that I got. It's a Precision Industries torque converter, and the person I bought it from said that it was barely used, and they took it out and kind of just went a different direction, so they didn't need it anymore. And that's another example, kind of like the camshaft, where you're taking a chance because it's really hard to tell how much wear is actually in it. Torque converter can hold metal shavings, it could have burnt fluid in it, it can have a couple different problems, and you just won't be able to see it. You can't take apart a torque converter and look at it. So you're definitely taking a chance on that. In my situation, those torque converters are like $800 brand new, and I was offered one for like 150 bucks. So I just went ahead and took a chance on it. But that's just me. I'm willing to take a couple risks here and there. Another thing would be like your differential. Without taking it apart and looking at it first and really being able to inspect tolerances and all that, you're not really gonna know what you're dealing with right off the bat. So either take somebody who does know what they're looking at and they can check it out for you before you buy it, or just go ahead and take a risk and, you know, go for it. The main thing that you can do if you're buying any part used is just be informed. Know what to look for. Do a little bit of research, go online, ask people, what should I be looking for if I'm gonna buy this used? Like a good example would be headers. If you're gonna go look at headers, look to see if the welds are still good, see if there's any kind of cracking or anything, see if the flanges that go on the head, see if it's warped or anything like that. As I've mentioned a couple times, I bought several things for my car used so far. I got JBA Shorty headers for like $140. I got the torque converter for about $150. I got an older tuner for the car for like $75. A lot of the stuff that I bought is used. And so far, I've been pretty lucky and I haven't had any kind of problems. But this whole thing, all together, was like $1,400, and it would have been about $3,500. I actually mentioned that in one of the other videos. But there's definitely some money that can be saved, and it does make a huge difference if you buy used sometimes. If you do it yourself, you're automatically saving even more money. So I hope this video helps out people that are trying to figure out what they can do and where they can actually save some money. If you like this video, please subscribe. Thanks guys, have a good one.